And I'm Eddie Arruza in tonight for Robert Jordan. Here's what's new at 9. According to the Washington Post, the FBI is investigating more than 150 groups and individuals inside the U.S. with ties to the al-Qaeda terrorist network. A Chicago woman is charged with felony neglect after police say she allowed her own mother to live in a filthy apartment filled with mice, roaches, and debris. The woman's elderly mother died on Saturday at the family's apartment at 7315 South East End Avenue. More than 250 people are dead after a fire ripped through the streets of Lima, Peru, and the death toll is still rising. Residents in the historic city were overcome by emotion as the powerful fire destroyed a busy shopping district and gutted apartment buildings. The Chicago Christian Industrial League has been celebrating Christmas with the less fortunate for nearly a century. Marcella Raymond is on the south side, where the group's volunteers are making a difference for hundreds by sharing holiday cheer and a hot meal. Good afternoon, Marcella.
Good afternoon, Eddie.
He gave his best effort, but the man who coached the Bulls through a dismal 3.5 seasons says sometimes that's not good enough. Tim Floyd resigned yesterday as head coach of the Chicago Bulls after winning just 49 games and losing 190. And now the answer to today's trivia question. How many Christmas gifts does the average American household wrap each year? The answer, Tom?
30. Isn't that amazing? 30 gifts.
You must have wrapped at least that many this year.
A 4-year-old boy has been shot and killed within the past couple of hours. It happened in the 2900 block of West 38th Street. WGN's Eddie Arruza joins us live now with more. Eddie.
Well, Steve, this is still a very active scene here at the moment. We are told that the shooting happened a little before 7 o'clock tonight, but so far police have released few other details. What they are telling us is that they are looking for a suspect at this hour. They know his name and they believe that he is armed. They also say that this shooting stemmed from an argument between two families that live in the same building, one upstairs from the other. Now, what started the argument or how it escalated from there, we have not yet been told, but we are told that the shots were fired from outside of the house here in the 2900 block of West 38th Street, and it went through a window, hitting that young boy twice. He was shot and killed, as you mentioned. At this hour, police say, as I said, they know the name of the suspect that they're looking for. They believe he has fled in an 86 Buick, 4-door green in color, and that he is armed with a 12-gauge shotgun. Now, we are awaiting more details from police momentarily, but so far we have no identification on the young boy. Back to you in the studio.
Anderson has lost 148 major clients because of the Enron fallout. WGN's Eddie Arruza live outside Anderson headquarters tonight. Eddie, many of those losing their jobs are blaming the federal government.
Steve, they're saying this day would never have come had it not been for the Justice Department indicting the entire company. Now, Anderson could not tell us how many employees it actually laid off today, but it is believed that ultimately half of the 5,300 people it employs in the Chicago area may be let go. And by one estimate, that translates into a loss of $700 million to the local economy. And today was only the beginning. For some Anderson employees, today's layoffs came as a relief after weeks of anxious uncertainty. But many also left angry at what they say is an injustice by the Department of Justice's indictment of the company.
If they had just gone after the few people that were responsible rather than indicting the whole firm, you know, I think this would never have happened to people like me.
I'm looking forward actually to applying for unemployment, so the Department of Justice can pay for what they've done to our firm.
Some of those let go today got the news from their bosses. Others were reportedly told to call their voicemails to find out if they were still employed. The entire process, says one woman, was less than professional.
No communications. I basically had to call our HR person this morning to say, hey, you know, isn't there a meeting? You know, you tell us on Friday that we've been let go. You give us these packages and then there's no follow-up meeting, anything.
Anderson says the layoffs will continue for several months, ultimately reducing the company by more than 1/4. Most of the departures will occur at the firm's world headquarters in the Loop and at its St. Charles training facility. But the pink slips are being handed out at Anderson offices all around the country, a result of the alleged Enron document shredding at the company's Houston offices and the subsequent bailout of dozens of major clients. In a statement today, Anderson remained optimistic about its future, saying the majority of Anderson's U.S. employees will continue their work, servicing clients. We remain focused on our efforts to reform and rebuild Anderson. The company is in talks with the Justice Department for a possible out-of-court settlement of the obstruction of justice charged against it.
You know, I'm going to be really upset if this whole agreement happens between the Department of Justice, because you know what? A lot of us lost our jobs trying to fight for this cause.
And for those still employed, the future is not as bright as they would like it to be.
I think the old line goes, you hope for the best but prepare for the worst.
Now, some of those laid-off employees say Anderson is being very helpful to them, not only with a severance package, but in trying to place them with other firms. For his part, the mayor today said that he is saddened by the layoffs, but that he continues to support Anderson, pointing out that the Public Building Commission recently renewed its contract with a firm, and that the mayor's Office of Workforce Development stands ready to help laid-off workers with any way that it can. Steve and Dina?
The dead boy is identified as Carlos Sanchez. A second boy was also shot. The two were shot this afternoon in the 4600 block of South Honoré. That's in the city's Back of the Yards neighborhood. WGN's Eddie Arruza is live at Area 1 Police Headquarters. Eddie, police are saying it was gang-related?
Allison, witnesses tell police that before the bullets started flying, one of the gunmen identified himself as a member of a local street gang, and investigators tonight are looking for at least 2 teenage males in connection with this deadly shooting. Now, it's not clear if the 2 boys who were shot were being targeted or if they were victims of perhaps mistaken identity. What is clear is that senseless gang violence has claimed yet another young life.
No. Nunca pensé que a mi hijo le tocara.
I never thought that it would happen to my son, says an anguished Victoria Cruz of her 13-year-old son, Carlos. The boy was killed in the 4600 block of South Honoré at the hands, say police, of gang members. Carlos had just left Lara Academy, where he was in 7th grade, and was walking home with friend Luis Rivera when they were attacked.
There were 3 of them that came, then they started saying gangs things, you know, then they started throwing things. Then when I turned around, who wasn't, then they started shooting.
Rivera escaped with only a graze wound to the head, but Carlos, whom his friend says was also shot in the head, died almost instantly. One man in the neighborhood says he heard numerous gunshots fired.
We heard about 4 or 5 gunshots, and then when I came to the door and I looked out the door, I saw a young man sticking what looked like to me a gun in his pocket and in his jacket pocket, and then he crossed the street here at 47th and ran down the alley.
By late this afternoon, friends of the dead boy and area residents were creating a candlelight memorial to the latest victim of gang violence.
Buen niño, se portaba bien conmigo.
He was a good boy, says Carlos' mother, who behaved and helped me around the house.
He was a nice guy. He was my best friend, and so he just died. I felt real bad.
As police search the Back of the Yards neighborhood for the perpetrators, at least one longtime resident and the mother of 4 says it's time to leave.
I live in this neighborhood for 33 years, and it's bad, and I think it's time for me to move. You know, not only for me, for my kids.
The families of both boys insist that neither was involved in a gang, nor had they had any previous problems with gangs before. And Allison, tonight, police also say that neither boy did anything to provocate this shooting.
WGN's Eddie Arruza live at Area 1 headquarters.
Former Beatle Paul McCartney is in town for the first of 2 sold-out concerts.
Gosh, I wish we were there.
Yeah.
WGN's Eddie Arruza got this prized assignment tonight, live outside the United Center. And Eddie, we know there's a lot of Beatlemania out there.
Well, Stephen Allison, and a lot of McCartney mania as well. There's no doubt that a lot of fans came here tonight to hear the Beatles songs as performed by the man who wrote many of them. But there are also a lot of young people here tonight, many of whom were born long after the Beatles broke up, some of whom told me they are fans of Britney Spears and the Backstreet Boys, but they also love Paul McCartney, proving that the 59-year-old's music is timeless.
You say goodbye, but I say hello.
It wasn't your average rock fans that came to the McCartney concert tonight. At one end of the spectrum was 8-year-old Gigi.
My dad likes it, and I think I like it too a lot.
And then there were quite a few graying baby boomers, fans of the original boy band.
That I used to stay up at night under the covers with a transistor radio waiting for the singles to be previewed on WCFL or WLS radio. So, yeah, I was a big Beatles fan. Had all their 45s.
But of course, Paul McCartney is only 1/4 of the legendary band, but it's his music, both with the Beatles and after, that seems to draw in younger fans all the time.
Oh, I'm so excited. I mean, I've been listening to Beatles since I was really little, and I've listened to like Wings and stuff like that, and I'm just totally pumped.
I wasn't old enough to be able to see George or John, but you know, Paul's still here, and I saw Ringo last year, and it's just the fact that I can actually see one of the Beatles, you know. I can actually say that to my kids, you know, I saw one of the Beatles, two of the Beatles.
One fan tonight came as much for Paul as for his late wife, Linda.
She's really special. We had breast cancer at the same time, and when she died, it was a part of me died too, and so it was really important for me to tell Paul that she still lives on.
For John CHIOROS and his daughter, the Driving USA concert was all about sharing a possibly once-in-a-lifetime event.
You know what? There's been a thing going around the web. It says going to the McCartney concert tickets $250, program $30, T-shirts $65, but going with your kid is priceless.
There has been some speculation that this might be McCartney's last tour, that he might retire, but he says he hasn't ruled anything out. And Stephen Allison, WGN's Dean Richards, will review tonight's concert on tomorrow morning's WGN Morning News.